Hi, this is Sally Andrews from Naked.Divorce. In this video, I'm going to talk about 7 really important things for you to take into account as you figure out your new co-parenting plan with your ex. Number 1, please avoid shock announcements. A child is always going to grieve when their parents separate, and that is hard enough. But if we suddenly shock them with an announcement out of the blue, we do run the risk of actually initiating a trauma response. Now, grief is inevitable in a separation and a divorce, and trauma can be prevented. So think of ways in which you can ease your child into the idea that there is an upcoming change in circumstances. Perhaps over a 2 to 4 week period, the child gets used to the idea that one parent is going to be living somewhere else but will be visiting regularly. Or you introduce the idea that mummy and daddy are in discussion about potentially separating in the future. Please avoid any sudden or dramatic changes if that is possible. Number 2. When you're creating your co-parenting plan, definitely something that I recommend you do so that everybody is literally on the same page. Consider what is the most child-centered way to go about this rather than what is most convenient for the parents. So as an example, if you have a preschooler who has only been used to being at home with a full-time stay-at-home mum, then it's going to be a little bit of a shock for them to suddenly find themselves over at dad's for 50% of their life. So consider what's developmentally appropriate for your child and what they're going to be able to handle. Alternatively, you might have a teenager who has been attending gymnastics or ballet every Thursday for the last 2-3 years and loves that activity, and now suddenly they're going to have to quit that club because they're staying at dad's on the opposite side of town and it's no longer convenient. So take those things into consideration as you're working out the plan. Number 3, bear in mind that for your child, they are used to the stability, the comfort, the convenience of everybody living under the same roof. It can be really difficult transition to now suddenly find themselves ferried backwards and forwards between these two houses. Children often report that they feel like they're checking in and out of hotels suddenly. So it's really important that both of these houses really do feel like the child's home. Ensure that the child has their own bedroom, their own space, they have spare clothes, toys, favourite stuffed animals, and include the child in designing and setting up that space so that it feels really nice and really cosy and that really is their own. When you're figuring out your co-parenting plan and communicating that to your child, it's super important that you're very specific. The more detail, the better. This helps alleviate any underlying anxieties about what's going to happen and when and what about and what if. So some things to bear in mind as you consider that are: on what days will the child be with which parent? And on what nights will the child sleep with which parent in which house? Who will take the child to school? Who will pick the child up from school? Who will take the child to their extracurricular activities or clubs that they go to? How will they be able to continue seeing their friends, and when will they be able to see their friends? How will they continue their relationships with their extended family? Who's going to take them to see the aunties, the grandparents, and when will that happen? What's going to happen on special occasions? Things like birthdays or cultural events that happen in your family, like Thanksgiving or Christmas or Easter or Eid. And make sure you write that plan down so that both parents are really clear. And maybe you even put that up in a place where the child can see it if they're of an age where they can read. Really important, point number 5, that everything is kept neutral, blame-free. So whilst you may well feel that this was not your fault and it might not even be something that you were wanting, there might be a tendency there to blame the other parent and to let the child know dad's done this or mum's done that and that's why this is happening. But please bear in mind that your child loves both parents and it's not their job to get in the middle of the two of you. So if you're struggling with that one, please get in touch with us here at Naked Divorce. We can really help you to get to a point where you've arrived at some peace and neutrality and you're able to take some responsibility for your part in the breakup. And in the meantime, please just communicate with the child as neutrally as you possibly can, avoiding imparting blame or shame onto the other parent. This is also important. This is point number 6. It's also really important when you're then communicating about the other parent when they're not in the room. And this one sounds really obvious, so we're not going to sit there bitching about the other parent and moaning about what they've done and utilising them as our therapist. Hopefully that one's obvious. But think about some of the more subtle ways in which we communicate. So less than 10% of our communication is actually the words that we use. The other 90% is completely imparted through the tonality in our voice and our non-verbal communication. So your child comes back to you and says that daddy's going to buy her a horse, and your eyes immediately roll up, almost unconsciously, you know, or we speak through gritted teeth. Be really, really super sensitive to the whole of your communication as you speak about the other parent. And again, if that's something that you're really struggling with, then please do reach out. We can help you get to that point where you're actually feeling really calm and really at peace with the whole situation and you found forgiveness. And then the number one most important thing, this is point number 7, is that you first of all have to have processed and recovered from the divorce yourself. This is like when we get on the aeroplane and they tell you to put the oxygen mask on first because you can't support your child if you've passed out. It's the same here with your divorce. Really, really important that you've arrived at a place where you can find peace, find forgiveness, own that which is yours to own, take radical responsibility for the parts of the relationship breakdown that were yours, and be in that calm, stabilized, regulated place so that children can pick up that regulated, calm, peaceful energy that you exude, and then they will also feel much safer and calmer about the whole situation. I hope that was helpful. And as I've said, please don't hesitate to contact us if you would like some support, either with yourself and your own coping mechanisms going through the divorce or with some support supporting your child. Thank you for listening.